Now, a startup called Neuralink recently implanted a chip into the brain of a young quadriplegic man. It was the first time the procedure had ever taken place, but the company, which is owned by Elon Musk, has now been forced to halt the trial. So what went wrong? Let's discuss that with Julia Seeger. Julia, tell us first of all what happened during this experiment.
So first of all, Neuralink has been working for several years now on this concept of an interface, a brain-machine interface, to be able to compensate or even replace the cognitive functions that were lost due to either an accident or to a neurodegenerative disease. So the idea is to restore vision or restore mobility. So that's in the short run. Now, in the long run also, they have this goal to enhance human intelligence, to be able to compete, as they say, with an AI if we'll need it later on. And I'll get back to that in a second. But how does it actually work? Well, there's a microchip. In the case of Neuralink, it's called telepathy. It's the size of a coin, and it's going to be implemented directly inside the brain in a region that controls the movement intention, so at the top of the skull. And additionally, you're going to have 3,000 microelectrodes that are going to be implanted directly on the neurons, and they're going to be able to decode and record neural signals. So when you want to grab something, let's say with your right hand, you have a very specific neural signal for that. And what the chips can do is they can pick up on that, send it through Bluetooth to a computer or a telephone, decipher and act upon it. So indeed, it can help quadriplegic people in a big way because they can now control the computer from a distance. Now, they were able to do it first with monkeys. We all know about this experiment, but let's take a look at it again. So this monkey had received an implant, a Neuralink implant, and he's playing his favorite video game there with a joystick. He's also being given a reward, which is a banana smoothie. And so he's playing. And at one point, they're going to disconnect altogether the joystick, so get rid of it altogether. And the monkey is going to keep on playing, but with his mind only. So just by looking at the screen and thinking about the next move he wants to make, he's actually moving the video game. So here you can see there's no more joystick or anything. He's just looking at the screen, and that's happening. So the thing is, after several trials with animals, the FDA did give their authorization for the very first human subject to get the chip. It happened this year in January. The very first human subject was Nolan Arbo, a 29-year-old quadriplegic American. And he was very enthusiastic. Again, he was really able to regain some autonomy. He was able to play some of his favorite video games. Let's just take a look at what happened the very first time he was able to control the computer from a distance just with his mind.
When I first actually moved the cursor with my mind, it blew my mind for like a whole day. And to be helping, to be able to be useful in some way, it completely changed how I live.
His reaction and his joy is just priceless. But several weeks later, the company said that they had to stop the trial. The reason why is because some of these little neuroelectrodes actually retracted, and it's believed it's because there was probably a little bit of air that was trapped in his skull during the operation.
Right, and do we know what the consequences might be?
Well, according to Neuralink, there won't be any, but it's often said that Neuralink is very secretive about the type of research that it does. Recently, Wired did an investigation, and they revealed that some of the monkeys had severe neurological abnormalities. But despite this, the FDA did approve a second trial, and the reason why is because these devices are very promising, especially in the medical field, as you just saw. You have other agencies that are developing such interfaces, like DARPA, for instance, in the United States, other universities as well. And there are other types of devices also that are very impressive, a little bit less invasive. Let's talk about what the Polytechnic School of Lausanne is doing. They were able to make a paraplegic man walk again thanks to a chip that they implemented in his lower spine and in his brain. And the way they did it is that they created a bridge between his mind and his limbs. So it's very impressive indeed. Now, the reason why Neuralink often makes headlines is because they have this transhumanist ideology, wanting to augment humans, even humans who don't actually need it, who aren't quadriplegic, right? And according to the company, the possibilities of these chips are infinite. So they're even talking about the fact that we could perhaps one day upload or download information from our brains. There's also concerns about the fact that we could maybe be mentally hacked, of course, or even manipulated. But so far, we don't know if that's actually true. But it would create an opening inside of our brain. Now, this is actually a very cybernetic vision of our brain, and more science is actually showing that the brain doesn't actually work like a computer. It works and it learns in a slower manner as we go through one experience to the other.
Fascinating. Julia Seeger, thanks very much indeed.